It's time to take your business to the next level, the boss level. These are the premier business owner strategies and successes being utilized by the industry's top talent today. Rock your business like a boss, a VO boss. Now let's welcome your host, Ann Ganguza.
Hey everyone, welcome to the VO Boss Podcast and the Boss Superpower Series. I'm your host, Ann Ganguza, and I am here with my amazing, wonderful boss co-host, Lau Lapidez.
Oh, Ann, I'm so thrilled to be back, as always, in the booth.
In the booth with the bosses.
What happens in our booth stays in our booths. Well, not really.
But wait. So we also
I don't know about that.
We also project that out into the global universe there.
We'll have to change that tagline, I think.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, Lau, I have been so busy this week, and I cannot split my time up anymore. I am one person, and I'm telling you, I literally have no more hours in the day. So everybody knows that has heard me go on and on and out about the fact that I outsource and I do have a team. I think maybe we should really talk about that because I might need to increase my team because right now I'm feeling like I don't have any more time. And so how am I going to do the things that I want to do and grow my business if I don't have the time to execute the daily tasks or whatever tasks are needed to do that, Lau?
That sounds like what my dad would always say, a really good problem to have. We all want to have that problem where we're growing a company, we're outgrowing what we're doing and how we're doing it, and we're not spending our time wisely. We're not working smarter. We're just working harder. And really, how do we do both, right? How do we get to that next level? We call it leveling up in the biz. How do we actually do that, Ann?
Yeah.
What do we need to do? Let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to note that there's a lot of people that are just getting into voiceover, and they may think to themselves, oh my gosh, I can barely afford to be in voiceover, right? I just got in, I'm not booking gigs yet, or maybe the gigs that I'm booking are few and far between. And so how can I even begin to think about hiring somebody or getting help because I can't even get a job first? And so this is where I think it takes courage, it takes boldness, and it takes some street smarts and savvy to really strategize how you might be able to make this work for you. Because while somebody might be doing some of the more maybe mundane tasks that take up a lot of your day when trying to acquire work, I mean, half of the time we're trying to acquire work, right, Lau? And it's the acquiring, that getting out there, that marketing. How do I acquire? You're either auditioning or you're marketing, right? And you are the expert at auditioning, right? Maybe you're not the expert at marketing. And so therefore, if you could have someone help you with the marketing, right, it would give you more time to be the expert in auditioning and perfecting your craft or honing your performance.
Right. And the truth is, whether you're a solopreneur and you're working alone, just starting out the first couple of years of your biz, or whether you're growing and starting to think about adding team members, we're all at that level. All of us are at that level of thinking about we're marketing. We're constantly reaching out and going out and figuring out how we're going to get our next prospect. So you never grow out of that, no matter what is happening. You never grow out. But you do have to time it well. I don't think it's for everyone. And at the beginning stages, I wouldn't do anything prematurely to go broke.
Agreed.
I really want to make sure you have a little bit of capital.
I would start strategizing because I think just having the thought that, yes, I'm going to need help at some point. You're manifesting the fact that you're going to be getting the work. I'm a big believer in the manifestation of getting work. And also, I think you're never too early to kind of plan or strategize what type of help you might need. And just, it takes time to find help. It's not something typically you can get in a moment's instant. And it is something that you will have to kind of, I would say, educate yourself on in terms of, is there a service out here that can help me to do this? Is there someone who can help me to, I don't know, write emails to prospects or maybe generate leads? What type of work could you use? I think if you start by really assessing your business and breaking down on a piece of paper, how much time do you spend on each thing per day? How much time do you spend auditioning? How much time do you spend researching? How much time do you spend practicing? How much time do you spend on social media? I think that's a good place to start. And of course, I totally agree with you, Lau, with the make sure that you've got a little bit of a nest egg that you can invest when you need somebody to help you. Because again, I think we've said this so many times, if you want to make money, you need to spend some money.
Absolutely. No doubt about that one. Second that notion. And I would say take a step back and look at your psychology and really keep it real. Really keep it real. Despite the name of our wonderful series here, you do have to realize that no one is a true superhero in doing everything yourself. And we like to think we are, especially us ladies like to think we are. We can do everything and we're a failure if we don't.
Oh my God. Can I just say yes?
Amen.
To that?
Amen. Say yes.
I am the biggest control freak.
Me
there
too.
Is.
Me too.
No, if you want to get it done right, I'll just have to do it myself. But I'll tell you what, that gets old pretty soon. Once you really want to grow, I found that I couldn't move if I didn't outsource and I didn't hire. And I kept thinking, oh God, but maybe I won't have the money. Maybe I won't have that steady stream of income that I can pay them. And I'm here to tell you that it can work if you strategize and you're smart about it. And you really take a look at the money that you have coming in and the money that you have going out. I think that really, Lau, is another sit down and really look at the numbers. Number one, how much are you spending on your marketing? When I talk about spending on marketing, if you're not hiring anybody to do your marketing, you're spending your time. And your time should be worth X amount of dollars per hour. I like to say that. I am worth so much per hour. Now, if I want to break down what I do in a day and then say how much it costs me, if I'm spending an hour doing marketing, that's my hourly rate. And so really taking a good look at how much is coming in, how much you're putting out. And sometimes in the beginning, that's going to be a little unequal. I'm going to say that I had to invest a little bit more in the beginning than was coming in. And I just needed to make sure that I had a good handle on how much I could put out to, be safe and still be able to pay the mortgage.
And you don't want to go in and with a blind faith. You want to have some real strategy behind how you're going in, especially if you're at a place typically within the first 3 to 5 years of growing a new business where you really are not making an actual salary just yet. You're really not making the return on anything just yet, and that's expected. And I think in our culture, North American business culture, I think we're sort of trained in a way that is more mythical than realistic, and that is we should be making profit as quickly as possible in the first 5 years. That's a real myth.
Oh,
It very rarely
so
exists
is.
that you find someone who's starting any business that in the first 5 years, sometimes longer, is making any kind of a profit.
Yes.
Right?
Please, let's say
so
that
going
again.
in realistically.
Let's say that again. How long? 5 years, if not longer.
If not longer.
If not longer. And I will tell you, for me, it was longer. It was longer than the first 5 years. I came from a job where I was making a particular salary, and I was like, I want to be able to make this salary. I always ask my students to put their goals on a piece of paper of what they want to do in the first year after they get their demo from me and that sort of thing. And I have a lot of people, they have very high goals of basically making that 6-figure salary in the first year. And I'm here to say, not to crush your dreams, but I'm here to say that it may take you a little bit longer to get to that point, but that's okay. That's very normal. And as long as you are okay and you have that little kind of nest egg there that you are strategically pulling money out of and investing wisely, you're going to be okay. But it's very, very normal to not make any kind of money back in the first years of your voiceover business. And especially now, it's kind of a little bit crazy these days. It just keeps getting more and more people in the industry. And then there's a lot of hype around advancing technologies. And I do believe there is, are we going to have jobs in 10 years? That kind of a thing. But again, I'm very much of the mindset that we create our work, we create our businesses, and we evolve. And I believe we will always have a need for our human voices in any aspect in the creative, entertainment, educational spectrum.
Yeah, and I would second that. And I think that creative energy coupled with the entrepreneurial resilience is really the thing, capital THE, the thing that's going to help make you successful in our businesses, being able to pivot, being able to be resilient. And I did want to qualify one area you brought up that I absolutely totally agree with and adore is that it's not that you're not making money in your first 5 years. It's that you're investing and reinvesting
Absolutely.
in what you need to have for your studio or have for your marketing or have for yourself. And you need to do that in order to make money back. You need to invest money in order to make money. It's not just let me do things for free or get things as cheaply as possible and make as much money. Business just doesn't work that way.
You know, you made mention of get things as cheaply as possible. We all shop for a bargain, right? I know I do. And so you have to understand the market as well when people are shopping for a bargain. That may include your voice, right? So I think the fact that you mentioned that, Lau, is something that we have to take into consideration. The investment that you make into your business, sometimes making it all about the amount of money you're investing isn't necessarily the object or even necessarily a wise strategy, because I would say if you're trying to maybe skimp on demo creation or coaching or workshops, that kind of thing, I truly believe that they are worth their weight in gold for you, because that is developing your product, right? If you don't have a product, you don't have a business. Your product is your voice. Your voice is, well, can you buy a new voice? Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know, but not really. Like, I can't buy your voice, Lau. I mean, your physical voice for me. So all I can do is develop my own and learn how to use it more effectively and perform my job to my client's specifications. And that investment, I think, is a wise investment. And I don't think that there isn't a cheap, good way of going about that, really. There's less expensive, but I don't think if you go cheap, you get what you pay for.
Yes, it's bringing up one of those little signs, those funny, cute characters, aluminum signs that one of my friends and former engineers bought for me on a birthday. And it was like a mechanic, in front of a car. And it said, good work ain't cheap and cheap work ain't good.
Yeah.
And I never forgot that. I was like, it's so cute and kitschy and silly, but yet it really bottom lines it. It's like you do get what you pay for, so pay wisely, invest wisely,
absolutely.
and just know that you want to spend money in the most researched and educated and referred areas that you can, because you know it's going to grow you. So getting back to that, growing your team, it's like, woo, all right, let's say we're ready to grow the team and take on a VA, a virtual assistant, or take on an accountant or taking on a marketing specialist. What are the steps that we need to be thinking about strategically so that we're staying conservative, we're staying frugal, but we're unafraid, we're coming from abundance, not fear, to grow the business, knowing that I'm going to look for a return.
Well, I think number one of everything is education, right? Educate yourself on the things that you are going to want to have outsourced or want to maybe hand off to someone else to do. If you've done them yourself, you know how much time it takes, right?
Yes.
You know how much effort goes into the creation of content. You know what can be done and what maybe can't be done by a virtual assistant. And so I feel as though you've got to really research. I think in a lot of cases, you have to find someone who really understands you and understands your business and understands your voice. If you're going to have them help you, let's say, craft emails or generate leads or do social media, they still have to kind of understand who you are and what your brand is about, because they're going to be representing you. If they're going to be doing something like the monthly numbers, like my accountant, that's not as necessary, but still she has to be educated about what are my expenses, who am I paying, who's a vendor, what is this expense for? So there will be some time, I think, that you'll spend, first of all, in educating yourself about what it is that needs to be done and the scope of that job, because that's the scope of the job that you will be having to provide anyone that you hire. And then there'll be a price for that, and you'll decide if that price is worth paying for their services and what can they do that's realistic and what can't they do, right? There can be a lot of people out there that will promise you the world. I'll do all of your social media. Well, okay, that's a pretty blanket statement, right? Does that mean you're going to actually create content for me on TikTok? Are you going to create videos? Or if you're going to do that, I'm going to have to provide you with videos that you can then edit. And so that's another step that you're going to have to keep in mind in the process. What's your part? What's their part?
Yes, Anne. And when I think of some of the mistakes that I made when I was hiring the first year or so, I don't want people to make those mistakes. So think like a chess player. Think like a strategy game player where you're thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead. So just because you're hiring someone in a particular area that either you are not qualified to do yourself or educated in or you don't have time for, does not mean that you don't have to know what needs to be done.
Oh, God, yes.
So it's a very fine line of knowing as much as you can without actually becoming that expert.
Absolutely.
And not micromanaging that expert, but also being 3 steps ahead of that expert. So the expert never is bored. They never are left with nothing to do. And they know exactly where they're going for the next month or the quarter or even the week. Sometimes, like, for instance, I'll have what I call stand-up Zoom meetings at the beginning of the week. And sometimes those will continue all week where we'll jump on Zoom and we'll have coffee and we'll talk about our goals and we'll have a laugh and then we'll get right to it. And it has a team cohesion to it
absolutely.
that I find a lot of people really love and crave that connection.
Oh,
but it
absolutely.
also keeps on top of people. Right?
I have a team meeting as well once a week with not everybody, but once a week. And then, like, my accountant, of course, we meet at a particular time. She doesn't have to be with the team of social media. But I do have a general team that handles social media and some communications on my behalf. And so we meet once a week. And usually it's a 2 or 3 hour meeting. So it's not a short meeting. And of course, I pay them for their time at that point as well. I think it's important to note that finding the cheapest assistant is not always the best solution. I really believe, again, you've got to research, look for testimonials, look for referrals, because a lot of people can promise things. And I'm always very wary of people that I don't know that are maybe outside of the industry. And so, Lau, you and I have spoken about it. You interview people. And I do the same to make sure that I get a good feel for who they are. And if they are from the same industry, you also have to kind of keep in mind, well, is there a conflict of interest? You do have to kind of think about that. I mean, I hate to say that, but you do. You've got to think, is there a conflict of interest, or is there something that you're doing that they may be also kind of taking what you're doing and then utilizing it for themselves, which is absolutely fine in certain cases, but in other cases it may not be fine.
So important, and you have to think about this stuff. Also, not to downgrade in any way, services that do provide voiceover talent that become VAs, that's really great for the talent themselves. That's a great side hustle for them. But my strategy is a little bit different. I actually do not want that. That would not be something I would be looking for reasons that you're saying. But also, I actually find that people who are in the non-creative space, if there is such a thing, I don't know, I think everyone's creative, but consider themselves a non-creative. They're more business-oriented, administrative,
they have a different perspective.
More numbers. They have no emotional
attachment,
investment or attachment to what we are doing. And I actually like that better because we are the emotional ones. We are the high pathos. We're what I call the crazy creatives.
Oh, Lau, really? Are we really that? I'm not.
We are, and I'm one of them. I fully admit it.
I'm not dramatic or emotional at all. I'm just saying.
I fully admit it. So I actually don't mind and really enjoy the other side of that coin. People who can come in and they're very consistent. Their personalities are not up and down. They have nothing in it for them personally.
Well, that's it. And they bring a very different perspective. And they also can reach possibly people that you don't have access to. Right? It could be reach people for marketing or even reaching people for helping and doing other things, right? And you would never have been able to find them. So, Lau, I actually utilize both. I utilize some people in the industry and then I utilize people outside of the industry because exactly for that reason, Lau, the one thing that I run into when I look for people outside of the industry, because, and I'm just going to say this because I've been doing this for so long, selling into this industry. When you sell into a creative industry, right, we're all starving artists. So it always seems like, okay, I don't have a lot of money to invest. I don't have a lot of money. I'm sorry, I don't have the money. And so what happens is if you are that starving artist and you're trying to outsource to somebody else who's a starving artist, right, there's going to be that, well, I don't have a ton of money. And then again, remember, you get what you pay for. I'm a big believer in paying people what they're worth because that's what I speak about. And I think we should all walk the walk, right? And talk the talk, walk the walk. You should pay people for what they're worth, and they will want to do a better job for you. You have to make them excited to work for you and excited to want to be at work. And so if you're always trying to get the cheap, right, or you can't pay a lot of money, then you may not get the performance that you're expecting out of people as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm going to take issue with this rhetoric that floats out there in the artist crowd that I don't have the money. I'm going to challenge that
please.
Because I would sit you down, and believe me, I'm not a financial advisor. I do not give financial advice. But I know from living the life that I've lived that if I sat you down even over 7 days and really documented everything you're doing, everything you're spending money on, what's your fixed cost, what's your variable cost, it would kind of blow you out of the water to see how much money you're spending in directions that are luxury, that you don't need, they're not necessities, or that you're just throwing away and unaware of that could be invested right into your business.
Totally
that
agree.
would be what I call found money. That's like coins under the couch, right, Ann?
Totally
As you're finding
agreed.
the coins under the couch. And say, wow, well, before I claim poverty and before I identify with not having money, let me take accountability 100% with the money that I earn or that I'm saving. And how I am spending it.
Yes, that's why I say over and over again, you're right. You're so right on that. You've got to sit down and look at the numbers. Take a hard look at your numbers. And don't just do it once, right? Revisit it. Like, revisit it monthly. Revisit it weekly. I mean, really, revisit it. You know, I installed the financial app on my phone that tells me what I'm spending money monthly on. Oh, Rocket. I think it's Rocket Money. So I invested in that because now that's something I spend monthly on. But Rocket Money tells me what I'm spending every month. And so there could be those unknown subscriptions that I'm paying for. And I totally agree with you, Lau, that there is that constant, I don't have the money, I don't have the money. I hear it all the time. Trust me, I do. Because I sell services to the voiceover. I sell events, right? I sell coaching services. I sell demo production. I constantly hear the I don't have money. And it's really a thing you have to understand that if you are going to hire outside of this industry, people will be charging accordingly, meaning you may be surprised at the hourly rate that these other services, marketing services in particular, social media services will get for these things. And so that might be a nice eye-opener or maybe not a nice eye-opener. It is something, though, to be aware of, though, that in our industry, I think we're so used to hearing each other going, well, I just don't have the money, and we're trying to like skimp and but yet we speak about charging what you're worth all the time. And so consider that from all areas, right? Don't just consider like, I'm charging what I'm worth. But when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant, well, you know, I can only pay you like $5 an hour. No, that's just not going to cut it.
Yes, totally. And really, okay, I'm about to say the C word. I think this audience can handle it. Commitment. Are you willing to make a 100% deep dive commitment, which means you do have to sacrifice. Sacrifice goes hand in hand with commitment. So I may want to go to the movies all weekend. I may want to go to the amusement park. I may want to take long drives to New Hampshire. But guess what? I may not be in a financial position right now to do that while I'm building my business or while I'm leveling up my business, because now I need a CRM tool. I need a marketing strategist. I need another VA. Okay, so maybe I don't want to take that vacation next month. Maybe it isn't absolutely necessary to eat out all weekend and get Grubhub.
There's a big one.
Maybe I can pick up my food or cook my food, or there's so many ways to cut costs.
I can give up the Starbucks. Oh, I just said that.
Right?
Oh my God.
Hello?
I know. Even my virtual assistant she's a Starbucks lover.
I know. Everyone's
She's
like,
going to be like, what? Don't you say that. Look, it's all in where your priorities are. And that's fine. I'm not saying you can't go to Starbucks. That's like me. I have my priorities. I will always pay for this, and this, but I make substitutions, right? So that I can pay for this, I will also do this, or I will work an extra hour, or I will try to market myself in this way so that I can afford that luxury.
Yeah. You have to be resourceful. You have to be resilient. And you have to be creative. And you have to make a commitment and be willing to sacrifice. Some people are doing a $400, $500, $600 gym membership every month. Well, could I replace that possibly with a bike or with walking or with with anything at home just for the time when I'm building my business. There's so many ways. And again, we're not financial advisors here, but we could sit you down and spin your head around with so many ways to be creative about saving money, not spending money, and then reinvesting that right into the business.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you can get that great microphone or that great coaching.
I schedule that review, actually. I schedule that review. It's on my calendar monthly because especially lately, it's been a little tough, the economy out there these days. And I don't know where it's necessarily going, right? So I want to make sure that I'm spending my money as wisely as I can. And that includes my team and making necessary cuts if I have to, which is not something I love to do. But it's something that, again, I have to make sure that I've got the strategy there to make sure that I'm investing my money wisely in what services I am paying for and what I'm doing to grow my business. So
I would say to grow your business, I would document what you're doing, whether you're writing down or video, what you do during a day, like record it on Zoom, record it on Loom, record it so that the new people coming in can either train each other or they can be watching the videos of what you've been doing, because you'll forget half the things you're doing because you're doing so much. Everyone's multitasking. So you really have to be documenting everything you're doing as your business builds. That way, the learning curve for the people coming into your business is very quick. You don't want someone on a month's learning curve. You want them on like a 3-day learning curve so they can get to business.
Yeah.
Right?
And you will have to train them. That is absolutely, you do have to understand and be prepared for that. You will have to train them. They are not going to know your brand immediately. But you can make it easier for them to learn your brand, as Lau was just mentioning. What a great conversation, Lau.
Great stuff. We could go on and on with this. I mean, I got one more tip. Don't hire people that you necessarily like only. Hire people that are good for you and good for your business. Not everyone is a growth person. Some people are great people. They're great to have around, but they may not grow you. They may not grow your business.
Exactly.
Know the difference between your friends and your business partners.
But I think you do have to be in a good relationship with the person that you are working with. That is for sure. But you don't. They don't have to be your best friend. That could be a whole nother discussion for another day. But I'm going to give a great big shout out to our sponsor, IPDTL. You too can connect and network like a boss. Find out more at IPDTL.com. And also, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you have a local nonprofit that's close to your heart? I know that I do. You can make a huge impact as a group and contribute to the growth of our communities in ways that we never thought possible. If you want to find out more, visit 100voiceswhocare.org to learn how. All right, bosses, you have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
See you next time. Bye.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your host, Ann Ganguza. And take your business to the next level. Sign up for our mailing list at voboss.com and receive exclusive content, industry revolutionizing tips and strategies, and new ways to rock your business like a boss. Redistribution with permission, coast-to-coast connectivity via IPDTL.
And I would say, too, as you grow your business, to document what you're doing.
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh, Siri doesn't understand.